Hey guys, welcome to Digit.in, and what we have with us out here is a behemoth 75-inch iFalcon K2A TV. Now, before we get into the detailed review of this TV, we're going to give you the verdict up front. If you are going to spend 1.5 lakh of rupees on a TV, you can of course choose this TV for its size, or you have two other options to choose from. You have the Panasonic FX800D, which is a 4K HDR TV, but you get the 55-inch variant for about 1.5 lakh rupees. On the other hand, you have the LG C8, which has an MRP of about 2,25,000 rupees, but is available on Amazon for about 1.5 lakh rupees. That is an OLED TV. So you have, of course, two 55-inch TVs to choose from. One is an IPS panel LED backlit LCD TV, and one is an OLED TV. And then, of course, you have this, which is also an LED TV, but what advantage this TV has on its side for the same price is the size. So if you are going to make a purchase decision, know this, that if you want something that is a really big TV and gives you good picture quality, then you can definitely consider this iFalcon TV. If you want a 55-inch TV and want slightly better picture quality, then you can consider the Panasonic. However, if you want to be up to date with the latest and greatest technology in the world of televisions, then you may want to consider the LG C8, because that is an OLED television. But remember, the Panasonic and the LG are 55 inches for the same price, but this you get a 75-inch panel. So if size matters, you may want to take a look at this one. So let's talk about the build and design of this TV. Now, it has a metal frame all around, and the bezels aren't very thick, so it's not going to hamper your viewing experience. It stands on 2 feet like we've set it up out here, and with the feet, the TV is about 33 kilos. Now, a TV that we reviewed earlier, which was a Sony A9F, which is Sony's flagship OLED TV, it's a 55-inch TV, and that TV also weighs about 33 kilos with the stand. So that's some point for you to consider. The TV is heavy. It nearly bent one of our tables. It took us a little bit of a struggle to find a nice place for it. So if you're thinking about putting this on a tabletop in your entertainment center, you may want to consider having a nice strong table. You can, of course, wall mount this TV as well. Speaking of the connectivity options, they are all neatly laid on one side. They aren't even, which means you won't have all the 3 HDMI ports together, for example. And that is good, because if you have something like, let's say, a Fire TV stick, which needs more space when you put it in without the extender, you can do that. The disadvantage that I feel is, for 1.5 lakh rupees, which is the flagship price point, you only get 3 HDMI ports, whereas other TVs are offering 4. So if you have a lot of devices, that may be something for you to consider. However, the metal frame and the sound bar at the bottom, which is powered by Harman Kardon, you have 3 speakers on each side, 30 watts of output. We will talk more about that in the audio section of this review. But you get the nice sound bar right at the bottom. Speakers are firing at you rather than down firing, which is another thing to consider. But overall, the build of this TV is really nice. The metal frame is sturdy and it is well built. Coming to the picture quality, now this is a 4K TV. It supports HDR10 but does not support Dolby Vision. The 4K content on this TV actually looks good. We played a lot of content from Netflix, Prime Videos, and we'll just give you a couple of examples. When you watch Star Trek Discovery, Season 1, Episode 1 on Netflix, and everybody's standing in the ship, you see everybody's wearing their signature blue outfit, but the blue color looks slightly muted. But if you move slightly ahead, and when Michael Burnham is in space and she's just taking off, and you see the darkness of space, light from the sun, it all gives a really nice mix of colors for you to check out. So that is something to consider. So when you talk about shows like Daredevil, now the fight sequence in Season 2, Episode 3 at the staircase, which is really darkly lit, but you need to see details, especially when you're watching something in HDR, kind of gets missed out a little bit. You will have to play with the contrast and some colors to get it up a little bit. But overall, 4K HDR content is enjoyable. When we talk about 4K HDR content in gaming, we played a Forza Horizon 4 on this TV, and that game looks really, really good. I mean, it's bright enough. The cars look well detailed. You can make out the details on the tires. If the car is going through, let's say, well-lit portion, the environment is vibrant, so that is really good. But when you play a game like Doom, which is 4K but is not HDR, then we faced a little bit of a problem with saturation. I mean, Mars as a planet in that game is supposed to be this really gritty, dusty, deserty orange color, but it was just oversaturated on this TV, and it was a little bit of a problem. We really had to play with the preset settings, with the custom settings to bring that down. But the settings, which are standard and game mode, look actually fairly decent on this TV when you are actually indoors in that game. But when you move to the indoor sections of Doom, the game actually does deliver well when it comes to the colors and the environments that are there. So that's something really nice. Now, when it comes to 1080p content, we of course saw things like Wonder Woman on this TV, Spider-Man Homecoming, and all of that content looks nice, it looks rich, it looks vibrant. Of course, a TV like the Panasonic FX800D makes 1080p content look a lot better. Out here, you just lose a little bit of vibrancy, but when you watch 1080p content, it is very well enjoyable. The sequence where Wonder Woman comes up for the first time from the trenches and takes on a lot of bullets, that sequence is nice, it is very enjoyable. So that was about the various picture quality settings. When we talk about the audio, you have the speakers that are powered by Harman Kardon. You have 3 speakers on each side. They are loud, they are room filling, they sound nice. There is good separation between the vocals and background scores, if that is something that's happening. But there is one problem. So if you have a character that's standing, let's say, slightly off center and talking to you, it seems like the audio is coming extremely from the side, and that's because 3 speakers are on each side. It would have been great if a couple of speakers were in the center. This could also be because we were pretty close to the TV, so when a channel shift happened, we could notice it a lot more easily. But if you're maybe a little more behind, you may not face this problem. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. But the speakers are good. If you could get a subwoofer added to it, you could get a pretty decent job done, because the sound quality from here is really, really nice. Now, another nice thing about the TV is that you get 2 remote controls in the box. I mean, if you look at Sony's TVs, we kind of criticize them for having this old school kind of a remote. But if you look at TVs from, let's say, LG, they have this kind of like a really motion remote. Now, this isn't a motion remote per se, but it's a more minimalistic remote. Both of them have dedicated Netflix buttons on them. And if you are going to use the Android UI on this more than, let's say, a traditional TV setup, then you are going to use this remote more because it's more minimalistic. And one thing, especially if you're going to be watching a lot of TV, is the mute button. Now, the mute button is all the way far up out here. So if you're going to use the remote like this normally, reaching that mute button really means navigating the remote control. Whereas out here, it's right there above the volume button. So that's a little ergonomic thing that you kind of just notice. So both of them run on AAA batteries. It's nice to have 2 remotes in the box. So in case you lose one, you always have another one in spare. Coming to the user interface of the TV, it's running on Android 7, and it has a couple of good things, a couple of annoying things. Now let's get the good stuff out of the way. Because it's running on Android, you have access to the Google Play Store. You can download apps like Plex and VLC for your home server setup if that's something that you have. But the downside is that the UI is slow. That is something we've seen on a lot of Android TVs that are on Android 7 where this is, and that UI kind of just gets buggy. I mean, if you're watching some 4K content and you press the settings menu for the settings to pop up, it might sometimes take a little bit of time to come up. It's not perfect. I mean, it is relatively smoother than some TVs we've seen, but it is buggy. Sometimes the voice controls won't work properly. So you may have to try some things more than once to get it done. Also, you don't get Prime videos out of the Google Play Store directly, so that's a bummer. You do get apps like Netflix, Hotstar and more, so that's all right. So there you have it, guys. That was our review. Once again, to reiterate it, if you want a behemoth of a TV, you can consider this one. It is actually pretty good for the price, but if you want slightly better picture quality for the same price at 55 inches, you get a TV from Panasonic that we've reviewed. You get a TV from LG if you want to go the OLED way for the same price point. So the decision is essentially up to you. Do you want size or do you want slightly better performance? And trust me, if you are going to go with size, you aren't compromising that much on performance. There is a slight difference between the 2 TVs, yes, but it's a value for money proposition. You could always hook up a Fire TV stick to this one. Now that the Fire TV stick is available in 4K, you could hook up your gaming console, so you do get access to your 4K content without actually relying on the built-in services of the TV. So that was our review of the iFalcon K2A 75-inch TV. As always, you can let us know what you thought of this review in the comment section below. If you liked it, you could hit the like button, you could leave us a comment, and we will do our best to answer your questions about this TV. We will catch you in another video. It's goodbye for now.
For the latest technology updates, subscribe to Digit.in and don't forget to hit the bell icon.